I'm here with Dave Price. Dave, tell us about your history of collecting Sherlock Holmes memorabilia and other curiosities.
Well, now other curiosities I've been collecting since 1947. My first collection was stamps, and if a kid comes home with a stamp, just hit him over the head real hard because he'll be in the collecting the rest of his life. It's an addiction. But as far as Sherlock Holmes is concerned, well, I was a charter member when the club was started. I did not make the first meeting, but I went and made the second meeting.
And what club are you speaking of?
Oh, we're talking about the Scholars of the Three-Pipe Problem.
That's the established club here in Nashville,
right.
Tennessee.
A guy named John Shanks started. It was written up in the paper. Another one of our charter members, although he never comes to the meeting, Ken Burns, wrote. He used to write for the Tennessean, and he wrote this article about John Shanks starting this club. So I called John Shanks on the phone, and at that time I lived in Lebanon. He said, "Do you know Hap Cabot in Lebanon?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, he also has expressed an interest in coming." So Hap and I both went to the second meeting, which was at a nightclub out in Madison called the Showboat Lounge. And so that's when I joined the club in 1979. And I guess you're aware of the club. John Shanks moved away at some point, and the club kind of dwindled. And Gail Stahl really brought it back to life. He and his wife had been in France, if I'm not mistaken, and when they came back here at some time in the mid-'80s or something, Gail's one really brought it back to life. And my wife and I were both active for a long time. And in the early days, the meetings were at people's houses. And we've had them at our house several times, and it'd be at Gail's house or different homes. Benny Field's house when he lived in East Nashville. But anyway, so I started collecting Sherlock Holmes, I guess, about that time. Now this is the first talkie, and that's where the words "Elementary, my dear Watson" were first uttered in this movie by Clive Brooks. And that one with the green background down there, that's a silent movie with John Barrymore. And as you see, some of these have Rathbone and different people. This one here has Arthur Wantner in it, one of the early actors that played Holmes. And then these are covers from Collier's magazine. These are all drawings by Frederick Adore Steele, who was just a wonderful artist. And Steele used William Gillette as his model. Now, I don't mean by that Gillette posed for these, but Steele, these all favor Steele. He copied Steele's mannerisms and his gestures and wardrobe and so forth in drawing these things.
You not only collect Sherlock Holmes, but you collect magic memorabilia, circus memorabilia.
Yeah, far too much stuff. I'm getting old. I really need to quit. What I need to do is give all this stuff away and go to an old folks home, but I just hadn't gotten around to that yet. Kathy, look up. You're in the movies.
So let's open up this box that's over here.
Oh yeah, this is Dr. Watson's dispatch box that was kept at the Cox and Company Bank at Charing Cross. Now I've got a lot of memorabilia here. Here are a number of pictures of Gillette. Gillette was the Sherlock Holmes for a whole generation. Here's Gillette as an old man when he lived up in Connecticut and had a castle up there. This is, the Bowling Green was an article that Christopher Morley wrote in the Saturday Review of Literature for many years. This particular page, he tells about the Sherlock Holmes Society being organized in England, and that they were going to have a banquet on June the 6th, 1934. And so he hurriedly organized a banquet of the BSI on June the 5th, 1930. There were 3 banquets in 1934. In January, at the Duane Hotel, he got a bunch of newspaper people and fans and so forth together. And interestingly enough, he never mentioned that this was the organizational meeting of Baker Street Irregular, but the next week he put it in his article that it was. Here's a Holmes, a Gillette. He was doing 2 plays. He did Sherlock Holmes and Secret Service at the Lyceum in Rochester, New York. He wrote up about both those. Here's when Gillette played the Garrick in New York. This is where the New York debut of the Gillette show was at the Garrick on 35th Street. And here, outside of that program, and here's anyway. Then when he went to England, this is the program at the Royal Lyceum Theatre, and starring William Gillette and Sherlock Holmes. As you see, this one is in terrible shape, so I keep it in plastic to try to keep it from getting any worse. I just got various Sherlockian things here. Here's a menu from the Sherlock Holmes restaurant in, let's see, there's several Sherlock Holmes restaurants. This is in London on Northumberland Street. Oh, this is what we call the Sherlock Holmes pub. But the menu says restaurant. My wife and I have been there several times. It's right next to Charing Cross Railroad Station. Here's a little folder of the same place celebrating. They have a sitting room of duplication of the Holmes' sitting room at this restaurant, and this was the Christmas menu one year. This is a picture behind the bar at McSorley's, if I'm not mistaken. There's Franklin Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt was an honorary member of the BSI, as was Harry Truman. Now here's these are stickers from the Sherlock Holmes cigars. I've got the cigar box down there. When Gillette first went on the road with the dropping stuff. Yeah, pick up the. Thank you. Mm-hmm. When Gillette, his first early tour, this is the program that they sold. And then when he went back on the road with it in 1929, his last tour, this is the program. And this one has some very interesting up-to-date writings of hand me that little thing that just sparked off. You remember Watson belonged to the Northumberland Fusiliers, and this is one of their badges. Okay, here's this is going to take forever to go through here. This is a farewell to the stage. This is his last tour, 29 to 30, although he actually extended it over into 32. Gillette was a very big name. Now, of course, this is Nigel Bruce and help me with Rathbone's first name, Basil Rathbone. But see, the Gillette was used to advertise commercial products. Orange Gene relieves, revives, corrects, and cures some patent medicine type thing. Now this one is Paxton Whitehead when he played the Sherlock Holmes.
Looks like Spock.
Yeah. Well, that guy, the Spock guy, did Holmes too. Here's this is all Gillette. Gillette at the Harlem Opera House and Gillette at the Los Angeles Theater in Sherlock Holmes. And these are different plays of Gillette's. Dear Brutus and A Successful Calamity. And here's a signature of Gillette down here.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's a nice signature, too. I'm always impressed with signatures that have some distinction to it and that are legible.
Yeah. Oh,
that's like a cartoonist signature.
Yeah.
Almost Disney-esque.
He had a very distinctive... this is a play he did prior to Sherlock Holmes called Too Much Johnson. This was also at the Garrick Theater. Although I think this was the Garrick in London. Yeah, this was the Garrick in London, not the one in New York. Here is, this is on his last tour, the Biltmore Theater in Los Angeles. William Gillette as Sherlock Holmes. And here's a stub of the ticket from that show. Here's Parsons Theater in Pearl Street, Bridgeport. Well, they had several theaters. Bridgeport, New Haven, Meriden, Middleton. Anyway, that's one of his. Oh, here's Gillette Castle. You were talking about you and Kathy going there.
Yeah, that's a nice place.
Yes. Well, fortunately, it's been preserved and, it's open.
I used to go there as a kid on field trips.
Oh, did you really? Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And I had no idea who Sherlock Holmes was. I never read any of the books, but I liked the place.
Yeah. Well, here he is playing at the Powers Theater in...
Because Sherlock Holmes everyone knows the character Sherlock Holmes, but if you ask people, have they read it? The average person hasn't.
Yeah.
It's only recently that I've come to appreciate how awesome these stories are.
Now, this is the character in New York when he played there. Well, anyway, you're going to burn up all your memory on that thing. This is the play that Gillette wrote, published by Samuel French. Here's a Gillette exhibit that was held at the Nook Farm Visitor Center. Now, I can't recall offhand where Nook Farm. Here's a postcard of the castle. Do you know where? Does that ring a bell with you, Nook Farm?
I don't know what that is.
I don't recall. It probably says inside there.
Because the castle, I think, is in East Haddam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Gillette at the Lyceum, although a Million Lyceum Theater. So this is the old Murray Hill Hotel where the BSI banquets were held for years. It was right down the street from Grand Central Station. They met there for years. It was an old-fashioned Victorian-style hotel, and apparently was very perfect for their setting. This is a book of New York theater seating, and Rumors put this out for years. I don't know the date of this one, but they give the seating of the Garrick where the play debuted in the New York debut. Now this is the Hotel Metropole in London that is mentioned in one or two of the stories, and his letterhead of the Metropole. Jeremy Brett, this is long before he played Holmes in the Granada series. These are some things having to do with Dr. Briggs. Briggs was the man that went to London and found what he believed to be the site of 221B. These are photographs that were made back in the day, right across the street from the supposed 221B. Murray Hill, that's the same place I was telling you about where they had the banquet for so many years. And here, picture of it. Now here's a place called Kavanaugh's that they also had the banquet there for several years. The Murray Hill letter envelope. And here's a matchbook from Chris Cella's, which was Chris Cella operated, initially what do you call places during Prohibition where you could go?
Speakeasy.
Speakeasy, and then it converted into a restaurant. Here's just some ads. Sherlock Holmes was returned. This is an ad for the Collier series, and that's just an ad for Tales of Sherlock Holmes. Well, anyway, I think we probably spent enough time on this stuff, don't you?
Yeah. Let's go to the band organ.
Oh, okay. This is a brochure of the Murray Hill Hotel. Yeah, the band organ was an interesting thing. Of course, I used to be with circuses, and so I like that kind of music. The music on the bandwagon is kind of like carousel music. I bought that band organ off of eBay early one morning. Here, flip that lid over for me. An antique dealer in Florida had bought that from a theater in Arcadia, Florida. It had stood in the lobby of this theater for many years, and people would put a quarter in the slot and listen to the music. But I no longer. I'd probably be rich if I collected the quarters, but anyway, to be a nice guy, I'd let people hear it for free. I just push a button down here and it comes on. Now see here are pictures of Gillette here and here. Are you still filming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here Gillette was just had such an impact on the Sherlock Holmes legend that he'll never be replaced. Now this is one of the early Holmes actors named Eiley Norwood, E-I-L-L-E, pronounced Eiley Norwood, and this is the guy that made the first talkie, Clive Brooks. Clive Brooks was active for many years in movies. You probably don't remember a movie called The List of Adrian Messenger. It was made some years ago. That was, I think, probably Clive Brooks' last picture, but he was an old man in that movie. Here's Vincent Starrett, who, well, you see what I said there, possibly the greatest. He was a wonderful historian.
Now, who was a more famous Sherlock Holmes? Was it William Gillette or Data?
Well, it all depends on the period, to the present generation, I guess it's Cumberbatch. But, 30 years ago, it was Jeremy Brett, and then 30 years before that it was Basil Rathbone. It's just shifted from time to time. If you grew up in Nashville, this is a Gersh beer bottle back when they were.
Back when Gersh was near Titan Stadium, right? Or even before. It was always on the east side, right?
Well, the Gersh House restaurant was, but no, the Gersh Brewery was in South Nashville. Some of those original buildings may still be standing.
Oh, so I didn't realize that. So it started as a brewery first and then a restaurant?
Oh, yes. It was a brewery for many years. I knew.
And then they came back, though.
Well, let me tell you the story. The brewery closed back in the 50s sometime, and the grandson of the founder, who was also named Bill Gersh, came down on 2nd Avenue in the block across the street from the courthouse, and he just rented this space and started a restaurant, the Gersh House. And it was a great favorite for the courthouse crowd. A lot of people in the courthouse would come over there and eat and drink. Interestingly, for many years it had no restroom, but just a small place that didn't have room for a restroom. And but they were famous for their German food. And Bill Gersh told me one time, he says, my baked beans are unusual. He says, most people with baked beans, they either go the tomato route or the bacon route. But he says, I went the bell pepper route. And there were chopped up bell peppers in his and they were very good. Then after Bill died, his daughter and her husband moved it across the river to the south side of the Woodland Street Bridge, and it was there for many years. And then when the Adelphi Stadium was built, that whole area was cleared out, and so it was moved over on I guess that would be 2nd Avenue, right off of Woodland Street. And then at some point they sold the restaurant to some out-of-towners who kept it for a number of years and then shut it down. I was never in there that it wasn't full of people, so I don't know why they shut it down, but real good cuisine vanished from Nashville with that. But anyway, here's just another Nashville souvenir here. Here's a Nashville Coke bottle back when Coke bottles were brown. Somewhere see down here at the bottom of this, I don't know if it'll pick it up with the camera.
Yes,
but it says Nashville there. This is, and it says over here it says Coca-Cola. Say, I don't know when the Coca-Cola changed from the brown bottles to the more traditional ones, or what my generation considers the traditional one. There's an abacus that my dad brought back from Korea, not in the Korean War, but in WW2. My dad was in the Pacific when the VJ Day occurred, and we thought he'd be coming home, but they sent his outfit to Korea as an occupational force. Korea had been occupied by the Japanese for 35 years. I think I'm saying that right, from 1910 to 1945. And so we went over there and occupied it just until they could get organized. And that's where he got that abacus. This horn here, he brought back this from Brussels, Belgium. This was a horn that the streetcar conductors would blow. And he talked a certain streetcar conductor into selling it to him. This McSorley stuff that the BSI has, it's not one of the official events, but a lot of the BSI people go down to McSorley's for lunch one day during the BSI weekend in January. And it's a very famous old-time bar, started in 1854. And they serve, you can either get light beer or dark beer. And one of the traditional dishes is just cheese and onions and crackers. But, you can order a hamburger or something if you want to. But
let's talk about this case over here on the other side. Now, this is the Joe Gould's case,
yeah.
which Are you the world's only Joe Gould collector?
Apparently, I am. Nobody ever bids on any Joe Gould item against me, so I assume I'm the only one. But Joe Gould was popularized by Joseph Mitchell, a writer for the New Yorker magazine, some years ago. And oh, look, here's something you might want to put in. Here's a signature of Abraham Lincoln. See?
Oh, yeah, he was in The Savage Curtain, season 3 of Star Trek: The Original Series.
Well, he was also president of the United States.
I guess some people think of him that way.
But anyway, there's his signature on that envelope. You notice the envelope has a mourning border. Mm-hmm. That's when his little boy died in the White House. Here's an interesting thing. In this thing, there is an ad for Lincoln and Herndon, his partner of law. You may be able to read that there. This is the front page of the Tennessean the day after Senator Carmack was assassinated on the streets of Nashville. That's a long-time Nashville story. He was shot dead by a young man named Robin Cooper, and Cooper was convicted of the crime, but by the time they transported Cooper to the prison, the governor had already sent out a pardon. So the man didn't have to serve a single day for shooting Senator Carmack.
Wait, is this the statue?
That's the statue that was just recently torn down. I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, they went nuts and tore it down there. I didn't realize there's a connection.
Huh. Now this is it. People my age remember this. The Chicago Tribune ran a headline saying Dewey defeats Truman in 1948. Yeah. And here's a picture of Harry holding up this newspaper. Of course, after the count was found, Truman had beat Dewey. But there's a guy named Colonel McCormick that owned the Tribune, and he was so anxious to see Dewey win that he had that paper printed ahead of time.
So this other Sherlock Holmes case here.
Yeah,
with these strands.
I sent out a series of. I think Jim Hawkins put them on the Facebook, showing different Sherlock Holmes items there.
Now, I just want to be clear to our viewers, this is your home, which is amazing. You have a museum in your home.
Yeah.
This is so wild.
Or my home,
or you live in the museum.
I live in a museum.
Are these cigars, are they still smokable?
You try one if you want to. I assume they are.
Let's tell our viewers the story about the Strand magazine and the connection with Sherlock Holmes, for those that are not familiar.
Well, very early in the period of Gould writing the Holmes stories, the Strand magazine started, and he sold them a story or two, and they caught on very quickly, and so his price went up. You know, and over the years they printed many of his stories, and even published the owner of the Strand even published in collections of the stories in book form. This is Dole here. This full-length picture here. This is Margaret True. This Harry Truman's daughter when she sang at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. You know, Truman gave hell to one of the Washington commentators one time that criticized Margaret's singing. This is all stuff on the old curiosity shop in London, which is fascinating. It's probably not the original old curiosity shop, but the building did exist during Dickens' day. Now be sure to get pictures of stuff the other side of this display here. See, now there's a window card of Gillette's last tour, and several other items. See, now there are two gasogenes over there, which was the way they made carbonated water back in the day. And you see there's the golden pensioners and Horse-Neigh, and Bobby whistle, and an opium pipe, and several things that are mentioned in the canon.
Did you ever try any of those drugs just to be more like Sherlock?
No. My generation didn't use drugs.
Except Coke, right? Did Coca-Cola at that time have cocaine in it?
Not by the time I came along.
Okay.
It
originally it did.
It was a cough syrup, and they would serve it in drugstores, and they'd put carbonated water in it for you. And finally, somebody suggested, why don't you put it in bottles? And so that turned out to be the way they really took off after they got it in bottles. I want to thank y'all for coming. Not too many of the club members have been here. If you show them this film, maybe more of them will come. Drew Thomas has been here a couple of times, and Dean Richardson and his wife, and Tom Vikstrom and his wife have been here, and Billy Fields came here one time years ago before I had so much Holmes material on display. But thank you for coming. You're always welcome. And anybody interested in Sherlock's welcome to come, or the circus, or whatever.
Baby, what'd you think about this tour?
It was awesome. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff, and I love how Dave has all these nice stories to tell too.
That's what really makes it come alive. It's the personality that you put into all this. So thank you for your hospitality, Dave.
Old people, that's all we have is stories.
And we love them.
Well, thank you.